Love language number 3. So this one is gift giving, which is probably one of the more simpler ones in theory, or like when you think about it, but is difficult. I'd say is probably difficult and complex when it comes to. Oh well, I shouldn't make it sound like that. It sounds hard. It requires skill and a little bit of dexterity with this one. So gift giving goes back a long, long time, I guess, because people have always given gifts to one another, as a sign of mutual understanding and mutual care. Societies and nations have done it, but like give gifts to one another. I think the Eiffel Tower was a gift. Or was it the Statue of Liberty? I can't remember. But people give gifts to each other, even nations. And it's kind of just like a way to show that you care and are cool with that person. And for some people, the people that have primary love language as gifts, visual and physical, displays of love just kind of hit harder for them. Like I said with all the other ones, not saying that they don't like the other kind of love languages, but if their primary one is gifts, then physical things, physical gift things or displays of, affection in that sense kind of mean a lot of things. And it doesn't have to be physical in the sense that, it is a box present gift. I don't know, it could be like you write a song about them and then, in tribute to them, or you do a painting in tribute. Well, I guess that's physical. Shit. A movie, you know what I mean? Like, it can be a little bit more abstract than physically a boxed present with a bow that they undo. But for these people, it hits harder than, let's say with like the two other ones we're seeing, quality time or words of affirmation. Now, one thing I think is worth covering right off the bat is that these gifts do not need to be expensive. They don't need to be a Gucci handbag or, a car or something, or the brand new latest whatever that's, brand new TV or shit, I don't know. It doesn't have to be super expensive. It's more the idea around what's going on, because what gifts kind of symbolize is love, but also that when you saw that thing, or I don't know, could be a flower, I don't know, that you saw on your walk home or something around the neighborhood, I don't know, you'll come up with it, I'm sure. But what it symbolizes is that at the time when you saw that thing, you were thinking of them, the person you're in a relationship with, and to them, that's what's important to them. It's like it was that you were thinking of them at the time. It's like, oh wow, you got me this. Oh god, that sounded kind of sarcastic, but you know what I mean. It's like it's this idea that you weren't thinking about necessarily the object or yourself at that time. Even when you were away from them, they preoccupied your thoughts, and you wanted to show that to them by bringing this thing to them and going, hey, I thought this thing was cool and it reminded me of my love for you. Mad. So don't get caught up in this whole idea that you need to buy super expensive shit. Like, no, you don't need to do that. It can be very inexpensive, or it could be free, like I said, picking a flower or something like that. It doesn't, or writing a poem or something. Like, it doesn't have to be of crazy significant value. And the poem that you write or whatever could be pretty shit, to be honest. It could be pretty awful, because I mean, not everyone is a gifted, talented poet, but they'll get the message behind it, which is that you like them and that you care for them, and that's going to make them feel good, and that's going to fill up their love tank. And so think of it not as wasting money, because I think sometimes people, even if the gifts aren't that expensive, they keep like a tally of like, oh well, I spent that much on that, and then that week, and then the week after that I bought that, and it becomes this tallying thing. Don't stress too much about that. Obviously, if your finances are tight, like I said, you might have to find more creative, less financially expensive ways to do it. But but if finances aren't as restrictive, think of it as more of like an investment. You're investing in your relationship, and being in a good relationship where both people are actively trying to bolster and improve their relationship is just going to be an environment that's conducive to good outcomes across the board, because if you two are divided and both your love tanks are running on empty, it's just like, yeah, you're not going to get a whole lot done. And more than likely, you're probably going to have knives out for each other. So, not a good time. So, view it from that angle of like, and think of it like all the different love languages. Like, think of it as an investment. Like, you're investing something in which is worthwhile, which is your relationship. Now, sometimes, you might think, I'm not good at figuring out what gift to get them. And that's completely natural, especially if gift giving isn't your primary love language. Like you might struggle with, I don't know what to get or what should I do? I don't know. And think of it kind of like that. Like when your partner has a different love language to yours, it kind of is like you're learning a second language. So you have to learn all the nuances and, complexities of that specific language and what works. And even then within a language there's dialects, and your partner might have a specific dialect of that love language. You know what I mean? I'm kind of going too far with this little metaphor, but I think you get the point. But what you can do is enlist a personal shopper. And I don't mean buy an assistant, like hire an assistant, because that's just insane. But what I'm thinking more is like find someone who's close to your partner, either a best friend or a family member, and kind of go through with them like potential ideas of what would be good gifts that would really work well with your partner, like if you got it for them. Because some people might, you might get that Gucci handbag or whatever, and then, or Gucci whatever, or designer whatever, and you give it to them, and then it's not really, you ever get that feeling where like someone gives you a gift and you're like, oh thanks, but it's like you really are never going to use it, and you don't really know why they even bought it for you. Like let's say someone bought you like skis for like skiing, right? But you've never bloody gone to the snow. Like it's like, oh thanks, but why did you get me this? Like you can't do that thing of being rude to the person because they just gave you a gift. So it's kind of like you kind of have to thank them for it, but you're still kind of looking at them like, okay, that has nothing to do, like not even remotely in my sphere of interests or kind of overall things I do, but yeah, thanks for that. So use that personal shopper to kind of get a small kind of laundry list of things or little areas that you could potentially get a gift, or give you ideas at least, because it can be hard trying to figure out what to get someone or to figure it out. And I think another way, a little exercise you can do if your partner's primary love language is gift giving, is there's the 12 days of Christmas, right? So why don't you do, well, like when you figured out that your partner's love language is gift giving, come up with 12 days of gift giving for them. Like, so for 12 days in a row, get them a gift of some sort. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be crazy, but just do it. And the reason why you might be thinking, isn't that a little bit overboard? 12 days in a row, I'm going to give them a gift. Don't you think they're going to see through that? No. If anything, explain it to them. Say that you're doing this. And the reason why you want to be doing this is because if your love language isn't gift giving, you're not going to be in the habit of giving gifts very often. Maybe only if it's a birthday or if it's Christmas. So what, 2 times a year? But you need to be doing that a lot more frequently, gift giving wise, if your partner's love language is gifts. Because, too small, well, maybe not too small, but 2 efforts a year really isn't enough to kind of keep a relationship going. Like, sorry, that's just how it is. So do that 12 days to kind of get into that habit and get into that groove of buying gifts and getting in that mindset of what you need to get, or like, what space you need to be in and where you need to be looking for things. And then once you've done that, you can then kind of rotate it to maybe something like every fortnight or maybe once a week, I don't know. So something like that, a little bit more, not every single day, but you kind of have built that habit of, this is this is something that happens in my relationship, and this is a responsibility and a choice I need to make every X amount of weeks/days or whatever, right? So yeah, like I said, this one's a little bit, it seems easy on paper, but then when you get into the actual logistics of getting it through, it can be a little bit difficult, and it's probably one of the more harder ones. But like with everything in life, everything worthwhile is usually hard. So make the effort, and I'm sure in time your partner who loves gifts will love you too.